Hello everyone. So in this video we are going to talk about micturition and the role of other organs in elimination of waste products. Starting off with micturition, there was one question from the components of urine in NEET 2020. Micturition as such was not asked that frequently in your exams, but still for your school exams it might be an important question. So it is just the excretion of urine from the bladder outside, right? That is called as micturition, or passing of urine is called as micturition. So we'll make it as simple. Passing of urine is called as micturition, and the neural mechanism that is involved in micturition is called as micturition reflex. So now what is important is to understand the neural mechanisms and what it is going to do, how it is going to favor micturition is the important one. So what is happening, we'll just try to write it in form of a flow chart so that it looks simple. Now, apparently there is formation of urine, and all the formed urine, it is getting filled in the bladder. So there is filling of urine in the bladder, and since there is continuous filling of urine in the bladder, so there is continuous no accumulation of urine that is at one point of time that is going to lead on to stretching of the bladder walls. So there is a force exerted by the urine along the bladder walls, and there is going to be stretching of bladder wall taking place. Now this stretch is going to be received by stretch receptors that is located along the bladder wall itself, and there are some nerves that is going to innervate the bladder, and that nerves are going to carry the information from the stretch receptors all the way along the CNS. So this is going to be an afferent pathway. So always remember, in neural control, again we will see sensory informations are carried by the afferent nerve fibers. So from the receptor, the nerve signal that there is stretch happened in the bladder wall is taken to the CNS by afferent nerve fibers. And CNS is going to send a response to the efferent nerve fibers, which is usually a motor fiber, meaning it is going to supply a muscle. So there is an effector or a motor pathway being activated. So which is here efferent pathway, right? Motor pathway activated. So this is going to act on the smooth muscles of the bladder and the sphincter muscles. So what is going to be the response from the CNS is very important. So we have got two things. One is relaxation of the smooth muscles of the bladder. That is the first response from the efferent pathway. Second one is relaxation of sphincter. So basica, the relaxation of the structures will cause voiding of urine. Contraction is going to prevent voiding of urine. So there is relaxation of smooth muscles of the bladder, there is relaxation of the sphincter, both of which is going to favor micturition process. So this are the efferent pathway responses. These are the efferent pathway responses. So one possible question that they can ask is, micturition happens when? They can give you the following options. So they can give you like relaxation and contraction, contraction, relaxation, 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 something like that they can give. So it is relaxation of smooth muscles of the bladder and the relaxation of sphincter that is going to favor micturition. Now, few points about urine. So that is about micturition. A few points about urine. It usually has an acidic pH and it has a characteristic order. So these are the first two basic points that you must know with respect to urine. It has got an acidic pH, it has got a characteristic order. The question that was asked in NEET 2020 was, which of the following components in urine is a characteristic finding of diabetic mellitus? Now again we have discussed this in chemical control and coordination. What is this diabetes mellitus? Diabetes mellitus is a glucose homeostasis disorder characterized by decrease in insulin secretion, right? So there is going to be more amounts of glucose in the blood. This is called diabetes mellitus. So during diabetes mellitus, there is increased glucose. Now, this has to be eliminated by our body, right? So what will happen is this glucose will be either excreted in the urine or sometimes it will be converted to ketone bodies. Now, if you get to meet a diabetologist sometime later, no, they usually have a saying, I can find the patient is diabetic or not by smelling their breath. That is the saying usually. So what is that is, diabetic patients, when their glucose levels are more, the body will try to eliminate glucose. So in that point of time, glucose can be converted to ketone bodies. So that ketone bodies, so when they breathe out, no, this is again a waste product. So through our breath, some amount of ketone bodies can come out. So that will have a characteristic fruit smelling. So when they breathe, we'll be able to get this or kind of a fruity smell, and that will help us to know diagnose that okay, patient might be diabetic. So glucose will be excreted in urine, and ketone bodies that are formed, if there are more in number, again it can take a path via urine. So secretion or sorry excretion of glucose in the urine is called as glycosuria. Excretion of ketone bodies in the urine is called as ketonuria. So these two are the characteristic findings in your diabetic mellitus urine sample. So presence of glycosuria and ketonuria is a characteristic finding in the urine sample of diabetic patients, and this was our 2020 question. Right, so this point you must know with respect to urine. And urea is the major nitrogenous product, so normal urea levels in the urine can be around 25 to 40 grams. So this is the normal value of urea. So if there is excess, we call it as hyperuricemia. So that's again something like it is not needed for NEET, but again you just have to know there can be an uremic condition where urea levels can be more in urine. So what you need to understand here is any component in the blood, if it is excess, can be eliminated in the urine. And that component, if we try to find in the urine, we can make out few diagnoses. Like if suppose glucose and ketone are excreted here, so we are trying to make a diagnosis that the patient might be diabetic. If there is some protein in the urine, we all know normally protein is the normal, it is not found in the urine in a normal patient. So if it is found, then we can suspect some diseases. So that is some issues with the glomerulus and all that we'll try to find out. So something, so whatever component, if an abnormal component is found in the urine, then we say that patient has some issues. So that is urine findings is one important thing or a test that can know uh, help a doctor in confirming or trying to rule out other diagnosis, trying to move towards a diagnosis. So it's a very important thing. Now, just few points, again, not that important for your NEET. Role of other organs in excretion. So we will be talking about lungs, then we'll be talking about liver, then skin and the associated sebaceous gland, and we will be talking about saliva. Now, lungs, if you take, it is going to eliminate majority of carbon dioxide, right? And then apart from it, it is also said that lungs is also going to give out some amounts of water, some amounts of water. Liver, it is trying to eliminate lots of substances via its bile juice secretion. So it contains some excess amount of cholesterol, then it contains some degraded steroid hormones, it contains some drugs, it contains some vitamins. So such in that route, some amounts of components are being excreted in the via from the bile juice into the large intestine, and then finally it is getting out, right? Now, through skin, we all know we have got sweat glands and sebaceous glands there. So sebaceous glands, it is going to secrete something called as sebum. So which is going to give us an oil appearance to the skin, right? So through sebum, we will have some substances. So this is an important question that can be asked. What are the components of the sebum? So sebum mainly includes sterols, hydrocarbons, and then wax. These are some components. So sterols, hydrocarbons, again, they are some excretory products that is being given out by some tissue. So that is secreted by the sebum. And if you take sweat glands, so it is going to secrete sweat. It's again a fluid that is rich in sodium chloride. And is this only sodium chloride? No. Along with sodium chloride, sometimes we can have other components like a lactic acid. Some amounts of vitamins can be excreted via the sweat. Some amounts of urea are also seen. So these are some components that are secreted in the sweat. So sweat components includes predominantly NaCl, followed by some amounts of lactic acid and urea. And sebum, it includes sterols, hydrocarbons, and then max. Saliva, it is said that it secretes some amount of urea. So most important thing you should know about the sebaceous glands and the sweat glands. Not that important, but it is good to know. Do not skip anything. As I always say, it's better we cover the complete NCERT. We need not skip anything. And in each of those topics, I'm trying to highlight what are important for your exam so that for last minute, it be useful for you to just quickly revise. So these are some other organs that plays an essential role in the process of excretion. That brings me to the end of the session. I will meet you in the next video. We have got one more video topic to be covered in this chapter. Thank you all. See you in the next video.